Hello, everybody, and welcome to the WREVA Electrifying News April 2026 edition. With me, as always, my two co-hosts, we have Mr. Eric Stevens joining us from the Listowel area. How are you today, Eric?
I'm doing great. Glad the weather has turned beautiful out there, and now I'm thinking about getting my winter tires off now and putting on the all season. So
Yep, that'll give you a little bit more range. That's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Absolutely. Also with us, Mr. Ian Graham, this time not from Mexico, but from Kitchener. How you doing
Yes.
today, Ian?
No winter tires taken off or put on. Just just regular tires. But yeah, it's nice today to see above the 20 degree mark as well. It's been up and down here for the last few weeks I've been here. So,
Yep.
anyways, hopefully we're kicking in now with proper spring.
Yes, indeed. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Let's get to the news of the month. And Ian, go ahead and share the deck with us.
All right. So we got some lots of interesting stuff coming up, and especially with spring coming in and events and that. And first off, we got to talk about the Chinese EVs again, but this is expanding out beyond that.
Exactly. We've known that, of course, the Chinese EV deal had a limited number of vehicles that we're going to be allowing into Canada each year, starting with 49,000. We still don't know who the starting group will be. We have an idea, we have thoughts, but there's been no official confirmation as to what the first group is going to look like or what manufacturers are going to be included. But what this article is talking a little bit about is the long-term goals. If China's successful in selling vehicles here, obviously 49,000 is not a lot for any given single manufacturer. But we're, as Canadians, trying to entice other manufacturers to come in and set up shop to build a manufacturing plant and to produce the vehicles here right in Ontario. The question will be is how will that manufacturing happen? We have seen in other cases around the world where China has used their considerable volume that they have already pumping out of their factories to create something they call kit or crate cars, where they'll say, we're going to produce a car in your country. They'll set up a factory or rent or lease a factory. And what they'll do is they'll import crates that come from China directly and have the key components already in those crates, ready to be assembled in said country. And then they can claim that that vehicle was produced there. Hopefully, the Canadian government, I believe the Canadian government certainly knows about this. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to entice companies to come here that would not just set up a facility, not just set up a crate jigsaw puzzle, but allow them to participate in the whole eco cycle of creating a car. So buying parts from manufacturers, assembling the car with raw materials that come from here, and assembling it at a full assembly line that is not just something like a crate package. So this is something that obviously would benefit Canadians because you get more jobs out of it and you get a larger economy of scale where they're purchasing from other Canadian companies that are manufacturing auto parts or tires or whatever and buying Canadian raw minerals, refining them here in Canada. So more of the money stays in Canada. I hope they can do this. This article talks about Magna and Linamar, which are certainly parts manufacturers that are based here in Ontario, and they are trying to write this type of a deal as well. So we will see if a manufacturer will pick up this and run with it. Right now, no one has put up their hand. There has been some interest, but nobody has signed up to do this as of yet. But this is where, as a country, we're heading, hopefully, to snag a few more manufacturers that can produce cars here and employ more Canadians.
Yeah, I could see this potentially working under a few different scenarios. I can envision a bunch of different scenarios that could happen with this right now. You talk about the kit cars and knockdown and stuff like that. I mean, even General Motors is doing that today in Brazil, where they have Chinese built EVs that are being sent as kits to Brazil, and then they're basically doing the final assembly and putting them back together in Brazil for the South American market. Um, what I would like to see is already in North America and under NAFTA, we have or the CUSMA agreement. Today, there's parts content requirements for you need a certain amount of North American vehicle content. And then maybe the Canadian government could add an additional stipulation that there needs to be a certain amount of Canadian content in these vehicles to be sold here. And then you could get into situations where, possibly they build, a scenario could, because they're talking about GAC, building a potential factory in Mexico. But then they might source their batteries from Canada and certain parts content. So if they had 50% North American vehicle content, 25% Canadian content, then maybe that would qualify them for certain benefits and stuff as well too. And I know, like, for example, I saw some stories where, and this is sort of a rumor right now, but Stellantis owns a Chinese EV manufacturer called Motor. And there's some talk that their Brampton assembly, because their assembly plans fell through to build the electric Jeep Compass in Brampton. So now there's some talk that Stellantis is considering bringing Motor to Canada to fill the Brampton assembly plant. So that'll be, so there's a few different possibilities. And then even some other manufacturers like BYD. BYD already manufactures some vehicles in Malaysia, for example, and that would get them around the 49,000 import limit, basically. So, there's, I don't know, there's a whole bunch of possibilities that could come out of this still and stuff like that. And the way I see that 49,000, which raises to 70,000 in the next few years, I see that as a way of allowing Chinese manufacturers just to get their foot in the door, maybe even import some niche models that they wouldn't normally manufacture at scale in North America, but still while potentially producing a more higher volume vehicle. So,
Mhm. So my question is, the kit car, am I going to be able to do my own Temu Chinese kit car with this type of setup now?
You may be,
I
but you may not like what you get either. So,
Yeah, exactly. I always love those videos of like, I got this from Temu and this is how it turned out, And I think it's it's going to be politically interesting to see how this does come about over the next while, with the idea of like sending over a kit that is then to be assembled in Canada. And in terms of, what are we going to hear resistance wise from Canadian auto manufacturers in regards to all of this? That's, I think, is going to be, going to be a bit of a hot potato on something like that. That being said, it's given us more possibilities, and we're going to find out later in our podcast. I mean, this isn't just happening for Canada. We're going to be talking about this as well, with other countries that are, getting these cars brought in and manufacturing done as well. But overall, we're at the 49,000 point, and it's not a huge percentage. And I think it's a cautious way to do this stuff. And then again, with the kit car and everything, it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. And Linamar, of course, that's just down the street from us in Guelph. Who knows to say that we don't see something of these kit cars coming around this area as well, being, Linamar's close by on that aspect of as well. So
and
we'll
one
see
other
what
thing is
happens.
the government does have to weigh against other manufacturers that are already set up here and
Yes.
have different limits, like Toyota, like Honda,
Hmm.
that have built those actual type of plants that would be ideal for Canadians to have because they build them right from the beginning here and use Canadian suppliers. So
Hmm.
Yeah.
I am sure the government is aware of all of this, and they're trying to juggle many balls and trying to please many people. As you say, and it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a hot topic for the next year, for
Yeah.
sure.
So now I have the vision of a Chinese manufacturer partnering with IKEA, just go and pick up your kit
Yes.
car. And,
Well, there's a new IKEA opening up in London from what I just heard, so who
uh-huh.
knows? Maybe they got a back room there that you can, hey, did your car break down? No worries. We got you covered. We have a car right here that we can help you build.
Yeah. Do you
Here's
have a
your
10
Allen
millimeter?
wrench.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So today I got an invite to the Tesla Semi event at the Tesla Vaughan Center. And wow, it was like it. Now, first and foremost, if you know Tesla Semi, I had a few friends already point out to me, it's like, oh, they got the old one, and this is the older version. The new one, of course, has like many of the new Teslas, the light bar across it. And this came up from Texas, and from what I understand, is the first one in Canada, and it's going to be part of Trucker World, which is happening this weekend. So anyways, it had some improvements. I was just researching a little bit more about this. It's actually lost 1,000 pounds from the initial build, 525 to 800 kilometer range. And also, the axle is a tri-motor rear axle where the front of the rear axle is two motors that is meant to bring the truck up from acceleration wise up to then the coasting speed, where then it switches over to the back part of the rear axle with the single motor. And just to help with the efficiency on this, 1.2 megawatt charging, 48 volt architectures looks to be in. The one thing, it's interesting to be in the middle of this vehicle. And that was a comment that a lot of people were saying, when they got in and we actually got to sit in this, was it's different. It's for sure that way. And there is another seat to the back if you have someone tagging along with you on that respect. I'm curious to see if we're going to see these built with a sleep cab as well. But for most part, I think the area that this is going to be used the most, and Pepsi is already proving this over the last while with what they've been doing, is short haul runs. So Walmart Canada has well over 100 orders on this vehicle, and I can see where the charging is going to be, at the Walmarts, whether it be the distribution center, etc. But that's for right now. I'm seeing this, and it's it's going to make a huge difference with the trucking industry with something like this in terms of efficiency, costs, all those type of things. So it was cool. It was really neat.
Yeah. I think this is a great thing, seeing, Tesla kind of pushing the industry as well too. There's a bunch of players sort of in this market now as well too, but the Tesla Semi is a pretty impressive entry into the marketplace. So it brings certainly an interesting, unique perspective. And I agree with you, Ian. This is going to be an ideal scenario for sending stuff from a distribution warehouse to maybe another end site or something like that, where a company might control both ends of the distribution, and they might even
Hmm.
be able to have charging on both ends as well too as a result of that.
Hmm.
That'll definitely be a good usage case for these types of vehicles as well too, going
Hmm.
forward, or just short areas as well too. Like Home Hardware today does have some electric semis today, and they have a couple of them, and they use them for basically regional routes. Basically, they'll go pick up items from local companies and bring it to their main distribution warehouse in St. Jacobs.
Hmm.
So I can certainly see a bunch of applications like that for these types of vehicles.
Hmm.
Yeah, for sure. It's as Ian mentioned, yes, there will be a sleeper option on these vehicles. There's two trucks. There's a 525-kilometer range and an 800-kilometer range. So one is regional and the other one could be long haul. Once the charging network has been installed. And that is ongoing as well. Tesla has opened one public charger that can be used by any of the trucks, and they have plans to add another 39 of them over this year. They'll be on major routes to start with, and it just like the supercharger network, I imagine that it will grow based on the number of trucks that are out there and the routes they're running. I look forward to seeing these vehicles on the road because, of course, they will be replacing diesel trucks, and those are high polluting vehicles. Even having a few of these is going to start to make a difference.
Yeah. Coming back from Mexico, seeing over $5 a gallon for diesel, like this makes so much more sense. Of course, the cost aspect, that's not really been revealed as of yet. And there was a few guys there who were like, transport truck drivers, and they're very curious about this aspect of it. The other quick thing too that I would like to see if they're going to consider down the road, but with the actual trailer, let's say the company you work for owns the truck and also the trailer, would they potentially have battery storage in the trailer and then also the motor aspect? We're now seeing this where if you're pulling a trailer, and in this case a smaller trailer, but it actually has a motor in it to help. It knows when you're accelerating, and it'll do that for you as well. And then of course the roof part of it. Would they consider any solar aspect to it? I know it wouldn't be much, but it's there, it's flat, that type of thing could be useful on that respect. But no, it's definitely an interesting where we're going with this, and I'm looking forward to seeing these on the road in our area.
Yeah, as mentioned, the truck is about to go into production out of Sparks, Nevada. It's about to their initial goal is to getting up to 50,000 trucks produced a year. And
Mhm.
they did mention that the revamped truck, not the one here, but the revamped one, it does have the ability to plug its battery into the trailer from the
Yes.
tractor and power a reefer unit, for example,
Yeah.
so that now you don't need an extra diesel generator to power a refrigeration unit in a trailer. They can just take the power from the battery from the tractor and eliminate that need.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just reading about that as well. So, and doing some research. So, pretty cool. That's for sure. I wouldn't want to be trying to charge this on level one. Be there for
No.
a year. All right. So, down the road from us, talking about Guelph here, and I I know the person who's working trying to get this going, and it just makes so much sense on all this.
Yeah, yeah. Say likewise there, Ian. Yeah. This is an interesting project, an interesting idea. Not everybody has the capability to put solar panels on the roof or something like that. But this is a way of potentially helping for people in the community to commute. And a lot of towns and communities have sort of underutilized land or land that is can't be used for other applications. Guelph was calling these particular ones brownfield sites. And basically, what they're doing is they're allowing the community to create these community solar projects where now you can use this land for solar power and stuff like that. And one of the lands that it actually calls out is, there was the former International Malleable Iron Company, which was a foundry in Guelph. And it's no longer there, but the ground is sort of contaminated right now. So they can't use it for much else. But it would be a great open site to potentially use for a solar project. So you have these underutilized sites and this underutilized land that now you could use for these types of applications and things like that. And bring that back. And I coming back and seeing how much power things like AI and stuff are going to be using as well too. Community distributed power is going to be I think play a major role in helping to keep our grid stable in the future. So
Yeah.
So this almost becomes a community solar type initiative, where the city's looking for, I guess, possibilities for different brownfield sites, and we'll look into supplying, like who's going to supply the actual money to put the solar farms in place? Is it the community members or is it the city as an entity?
Yeah, my understanding is it's the community looking to do this, so it's going to be like a crowd-funded type endeavor.
Okay,
Hmm.
But then the land, they're probably I think they're asking the city to like kind of donate the land for these
right.
applications. So,
Hmm.
and then also get on board from a permitting and stuff standpoint as well too, because some of these sites, because they are contaminated, there might be some restrictions on how they can be permitted and used as well. So,
Right.
Hmm. I'm curious with the solar aspect is great, but is there a possibility that they could also put in battery storage within this area? Because if the land's not going to be usable, is there, why not get the battery aspect into it as well?
yeah, I could certainly see. The article doesn't mention batteries, but I can certainly
No.
see that as being part of it. It does mention wind as a possibility as well too for some applications as well. So.
Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah. I don't know. I like the fact that, like they're showing this here, soccer, football fields, playground, everything else. But I just think too, for kids that would see this, it's just going to become more of like a norm. But then they also might be intrigued into, well, what's this all about? And it's just a great display for them that way as well. That they can see that, hey, we've got this, we can capitalize on it. And then in terms of the community aspect, I was really happy to see that part of it because we've had a few community aspect of solar as well. And, for people who are living in areas that they can't put up their own solar, this is just another great investment opportunity for them to check into as well. All right. So this is interesting about Sobeys, especially because they were kind of brought up in the news today again with Loblaws and a bit of the price fixing on things with meat and stuff. But anyways,
Ah, well,
so
this is a bit different,
yes,
but
we're going to distract.
uh, Sobeys has announced a partnership with Monta. Monta is a European software company that has developed software to track EV chargers. So the difference with Monta is they're not required to use any one particular hardware provider. They have worked with 250 different suppliers of EV charging infrastructure, and they're able to use their software to bridge the divide between the different types of hardware that would be at a Sobeys locations, for example, and to be able to smooth out the reporting that would come from all these different units that Sobeys would install at multiple locations across the country. So Sobeys, which has a footprint nationwide, they're looking to increase EV charging infrastructure at their stores, but they were concerned about having to pick one hardware manufacturer and then stick with it throughout the whole thing. They would like to sample from different groups to find one that best suits their purpose and for longevity and for its use. So this partnership with Monta will allow them to have different manufacturers' equipment and to be able to funnel in all the information so everybody knows how much power is being used by a certain unit, whether it's in Victoria, BC, or Kitchener, Ontario. And they be able to see the uptime, and they'll be able to see how much it's used, and since all these different equipment manufacturers have different ways of reporting this, this Monta software will allow everything to come in streamlined, so Sobeys can look at it on a single spreadsheet of sorts and be able to compare apples to apples.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, this is pretty interesting. In a sense, this is almost like Sobeys is going to start its own charging network in a sense,
Hmm.
using Monta's software backbone. And as you said, they can use pretty much any compatible hardware that's out there. So that's an interesting thing. And in the past and in previous podcasts, we've talked about how having charging at a place like a grocery store, makes a a lot of sense because it's a place where people go to on a semi-regular basis, and they're usually spending, 45 minutes to an hour at. So it's almost an ideal location if you live in a condo and you need to go and, plug in and charge once a week. It's a great format for an opportunity for people to do that. So I think it's a interesting proposition. And I think this is the fact that Sobeys is kind of going in and doing its own thing here is also good because now they sort of control the backbone and the billing and all that themselves as well too. They're not farming it out to somebody else. So
Mhm. Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Last week, I got a great deal at Longo's out by Tupperman's, and so I went out there. And when I started to leave, I realized, oh, there was a charger there, and it was a company I didn't recognize. But I easily had spent like half an hour at Longo's doing this, and I thought, well, this is great, because that's a whole different area being developed, lots of housing, residential, and all that. But the other thing that kind of hit me about with this is when I go north to the cabin, the one stop that I make on that 6 hour trip is Perry Sound. And Perry Sound has, of course, the Tesla chargers. But if you go over to the Canadian Tire, which is, 5-10 minute walk, there's the Flow chargers that are there, but there's also a Sobeys there. And so I'm thinking like, wow, we've now got 3 opportunities of charging if they decide to put it in the Perry Sound as well. And, and Tesla's also, just did another Perry Sound charging network as well. So we're having lots of opportunities to charge our cars up, which is great. The other big thing I thought was really cool is the fact that if Monta is dealing with over 250 different manufacturers, there's going to be, these are the best ones, these are okay, this isn't working so well. And I think Sobeys is very smart to, what is reliable? What is it something that's going to give the customer a peace of mind to know that every time they show up, we got something that's going to work for them. And I think that's a great idea as well that they've partnered with this as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. And so I spent 3 months in Mexico, and you know what? Getting around with the EV is, I wouldn't say is as much of a challenge anymore between the Tesla chargers. And then, of course, the dealerships are also getting more involved with some of this. But what I found interesting, so there's sort of 3 parts to this story. Before I left, Chedraui is one of the bigger grocery chains. There's La Comer and Mega as well. But Chedraui, they were in Bucerias, were starting off putting in these level 3 chargers and level 2 chargers. And I'm thinking to myself, this is amazing because as you go down the coast or to other places, if they're going to keep adding to this, it's just going to make getting around Mexico that much easier. Not necessarily for Tesla, because Tesla's got a pretty strong network, but these Evergo stations are popping up more and more. So it's great. Puerto Vallarta, this past week, I just got the announcement that they are going to get 17 electric buses put into commission in May, and that is going to be growing to over 39 units over the next year, from what I understand as well. And you talk about diesel and pollution and everything else. If there's one place that needs to really change this, it would be Mexico, because some of the buses, wow, the chicken buses, as we call them, they definitely need an upgrade. And then lastly, GAC is also setting up an assembly plant in Mexico that will do combustion engines, but also hybrid, plug-in hybrid, and then full electric vehicles. And now nothing's been said as of yet as to where they're going to be putting this. So it'll be interesting to see where this does end up. But Mexico is, man, they're getting gung-ho with the EV stuff. And this year I saw so many more BYD vehicles. So it's expanding. Good stuff.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, uh, Mexico is a place where the price of gas is very comparable to what it is here in Canada.
Yep,
And,
or more.
and so it's, which is much more expensive than the US. And considering the average disposable income of somebody in Mexico, the average person in Mexico, especially under these times, are not going to be able to afford to drive a gas car at all.
Yeah.
So they're either dependent on public transportation, or now some of the more affordable electric options that are coming out might open up the market and possibilities for certain people in Mexico as well too. So, Mexico getting on the electrification bandwagon, makes a lot of sense for them as well too. And as you mentioned, Ian, for a long time, Mexico hasn't had the emission standards and controls that the U.S. and Canada has. So a lot of the vehicles that are on the road there today, the smog is very not so nice. I used to travel to Mexico City a lot for work, and Mexico City is like a bowl, and it just holds the smog in.
Yeah.
And you could always smell when somebody came back from Mexico City. There is a distinct smell from Mexico City. So, and
It wasn't tacos.
yeah, it was not tacos, no. But yeah, so I mean, these little measures and these steps, I think, can go a long way to helping clean the air, helping bring more transportation options to more people, and it just makes sense on so many levels. So.
Yeah, Mexico certainly is starting to electrify more, and that's a good thing. I could see that many different manufacturers are getting involved in Mexico to produce vehicles, and a lot of them are electric. So this is certainly a positive step, and Puerto
Vallarta. Yeah.
Vallarta.
Yeah.
Starting to dabble with electric transit is a plus as well. So,
Yeah.
you've got to be able to find what works well for your city. You've got to look at the ROI, and it looks like they have discovered that these electric buses fit into their plan. So that's fantastic, and I look forward to more of it.
Yeah. You're going to see more of this as well, I think, because of the tourism aspect as well. This makes a huge difference for that too. But and Mexico's terrain is not the easiest terrain in the world to deal with mountains and that. So, good for them. They're going forward and on all this. All right. And finally, these EV fast chargers are completely off grid and free. And I love reading stories like this. And of course, it's only going to get better as
Yeah.
we see.
Yeah, this is I thought this was an interesting story that I came across here. So it's a company that it's a California startup called Power Station Charging. Now these stations are free for now on a trial basis. They will be charging for them in the future. But this is currently a charging station that's built out in the Mojave Desert, basically, before Baker, California. So between Los Angeles and Las Vegas, basically. And so you get the Mojave Desert in there, and there's some pretty big gaps in the charging network. There's a few places where there's chargers and stuff like that, but this is a station that's been put in that is entirely powered by solar panels, batteries, and it has charging stations that are there. And the charging stations do have, if multiple vehicles do plug in, they can power limit a little bit, but these are pretty powerful stations in themselves. Each station is 360 kilowatt, so it's a very powerful unit, and they intend to expand it in the future, and then even add an underground portion where they'll have like a lounge with washrooms and stuff like that as well too. So to make it like a true sort of off-grid rest stop. And I thought this model was kind of interesting because now this model could potentially be used in a lot of other environments that are very maybe grid limited, or might not have the power capacity on some, especially in some high capacity routes like I-15 between LA and Vegas. So I thought this was a very interesting setup and a very interesting sort of model to use for some applications.
It is interesting that there's just more and more of these charger networks showing up. I'm kind of surprised the number of them, the independents that are out there that are taking their swing at charging ability and putting their products out in the field. which is great. It's something that the end customers benefit from as there's more and more competition. So I certainly welcome this, and it'll be interesting to see if this type of a setup can be used in other places outside of the Mojave. But love to see the complete renewable energy aspect of this.
Yeah. And to the point about the Guelph story, this is kind of why I brought up, like, is there a possibility for battery storage? Because you're seeing that in this respect as well. So, interesting, all the solar panels you see in the back, I'm kind of looking at it going like, geez, could you have a bit of a shop there for, vendors, that type of thing as well, just to make real use of all of that space.
Mm.
But, what a great place to put this in. Really, I'm sure they're going to do well with the sunshine.
Yeah, and yeah, one other thing I wanted to comment is when they do start billing for this, which is it's free till May 31st of this year. But when they do start billing to this, they'll have like a dynamic pricing. So if they're generating excess solar power, the power is actually cheaper to
Yeah,
charge there than versus when it gets dark or the batteries start to get a little bit lower, they'll charge higher pricing. So
yeah, yeah. All right.
Very
So
good.
that is our Riva podcast for April 2026.
Any shout outs, Ian?
Go Rangers is the big one. They're
Yep.
up 1-0. I haven't looked at the score as of yet, but man, I saw them in September preseason, and I was like, I don't know, but man, they got a great team, and their goaltender. Well, I mean, you know what? I'll say this much: shout out to Sue and to Kitchener Rangers because it's back and forth. It's competitive hockey, and it's I love seeing that. Both goaltenders are just standing on their heads, and it's a lot of fun to watch.
Very good. Eric, any shout outs from you?
not any shows particular, but I did want to make a quick comment that it's interesting that also my family's hometown, Chatham, Kent, is considering getting an OHL team. So
Oh,
Ah,
wow.
very
that'll be
good.
interesting if that happens. So
Yes, indeed.
Uh,
Indeed. Well, we thank everyone for watching. If you give us a like and a subscribe, that would be appreciated. And we'll catch you next month and find out what's happening in Riva Electrifying News. Thanks, everyone.